We're calling it to order at 6:30. First order of business is we have to approve the June minutes, since there was no July meeting and we didn't approve the minutes. So do I have a motion?
I will make the motion to approve June minutes.
I'll second it. They looked fantastic in June.
Yep.
That's good. Joe's our official proofreader.
A quick question. That looked like an awful lot of money that was left over. I seem to remember discussion saying we didn't have any more money, but maybe it was on it for specific project.
Yeah, not everything it had gone through had taken its budget allotment yet.
Okay. Well, that's the only thing that caught my eye. Everything else, aye. All in favor.
Okay. All right. So
Regardless of that, Charlie, if there was any surplus beyond anything that was actually allocated, there was a no spend while the budget was waiting to pass because we were essentially in crisis mode.
Okay.
yeah,
That's why I didn't come to you guys saying, "Hey, we've got this money left at the end of the year. What do we want to spend it on?"
Yeah, I think a lot of the crisis developed after that June meeting, which was a long time ago now.
yeah, it's almost Christmas. Anyway, all in favor of accepting the budget?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. Budget passes. Joe, treasurer.
Yeah. Well, they went and changed the format on me, and now it's the beginning of the year, so bear with me, but I believe that we're starting with our approved budget of $20,384. The approved for 25 was $22,792, but we must have made a cut somewhere to get the budget approved, so we've been approved for $20,384.
If I were to guess, Joanne, I think that probably reflects a small increase in the recording secretary.
Okay.
I'm not looking at it, but if there's a discrepancy that's in that small amount, I wouldn't be surprised to discover that's what it is.
Yeah, it just shows
Okay.
a negative 2408 in the change column. And that does account for it, but it doesn't say what it is.
So is that just the budget? Is there money left over from last year since we didn't get to wrap up the year properly, or is that what we have for the new year?
That's not how it works, Lafredo.
Okay.
If there is unspent money in an existing budget, once the fiscal year rolls, it all goes back to the general fund. That's why every June we do that crazy push, like,
Right.
you haven't spent this money, what do you want to spend it on? But because we knew we were in trouble with the budget, there was a general don't do that sent out to all of the directors. And then once the fiscal year rolled and there was no budget, that directive to not spend down your fiscal year 25 funds, it turned out to be prescient. So
Yeah, I knew it rolls into the general budget. I didn't know if this year was an exception because of the budget and the do not spend, how that money, any money that might have remained, if it still went to the general budget, or if it still got kicked back because we were told not to spend it and didn't have that opportunity.
no, all that funding is essentially what carried the town through during the period when there was no income.
Then to be sure that I understand, when we were told don't spend this $10,484.84, which I referenced earlier, essentially at that moment it was reverted into the general fund because it's gone, whether they did it actually on the day the fiscal year transpired or not. That looked like a fairly healthy amount. And as Brian Yashirno already said, some of that was because bills were coming in and they had to be honored.
Right,
Exactly. how it breaks.
anything, yes, anything like that would have been paid, whether it's reflected on what Joanne has yet, I don't know, I presume it is. But yes, anything that wasn't already committed by the time the fiscal year rolled was out the door back to the general fund.
And now that the referendum is passed, how much comes into our budget for this fiscal year?
That's what Joanne was just giving you the number for.
That was
23 and change,
20,000?
I think.
Yeah,
23 and change,
20,000.
right, Joanne?
23,000. Okay.
So Joanne, if I'm looking at this budget, and Tara, you may be able to answer too. It looks like EDC lost the special project airline trail line item.
Yeah.
Right, that's
And
actually, yeah, so because we rolled all of those other little special projects back up into marketing.
okay, and then the printing and publication line was cut in half.
That doesn't surprise, oh yeah, because we had previously held an amount for the Agriculture Commission, who has been talking about maybe doing a marketing brochure or something. But
Okay,
in the first round of budget cuts, that was what I offered up from EDC to avoid it coming out of some more vital part of the budget, because the Agriculture Commission hasn't made any decisions on any of that. So,
okay,
yeah.
okay. All right, I was seeing that and I just wanted to make sure that that was correct, what I was seeing.
Yeah.
It
But it
is.
looks like.
Okay, anything else on the budget? Okay, as far as me, as you know, most of my July was gone. I'm still doing catch-up, so I'm still a little scrambled. We did have a busy bees ribbon cutting on July 7th, and we had the Main Street Gelato ribbon cutting today. And other than that, everything was pretty much stopped with waiting for the next referendum. As far as new businesses in Thompson, you got the paper on Kaylee Arpin Life Insurance. And Smokes on Spokes is open and Main Street Gelato is open. I can't think of anything else that's opened or closed since we last met. And TBA membership is at 64. So it's we have some new members. We lost some members. It is down from the spring. So that's it. Anybody else have anything on business updates in town?
Did stop in at both the gelato and the smoky spot on Saturday and wished them well. And they told me about the ribbon cutting.
Yeah,
which I
yeah.
know
I
about.
was there today. Brian was, Andrew was, Tira was.
I couldn't be there because I had another meeting, but I enjoyed both their businesses. They looked wonderful, and the food is great too.
Yeah, yeah. I hope they're happy with us. So far, they're happy with being in town. So
I asked both of them even today. I stopped by Smokes on Spokes on Monday. Had a great lunch there. Spoke to Wayne for about 45 minutes. Was pleased, very thankful for being here in Thompson and very thankful for all the assistance. I then offered, hey, if you ever need any marketing assistance, please reach out. Let me know. Same thing with Main Street Gelato. Both are very appreciative to any and all assistance that has been given. They both unanimously said working with the town and planning and zoning has been a breeze.
yeah,
Yeah,
they had other issues, but we showed at least our interest in helping them out.
Yeah, there was that small issue they had with Department of Health, but when I spoke to them, the husband stepped aside and allowed the wife to add her feminine touch to the situation, and she said that had smoothed things over. So hats off to the females here on the chat.
Yeah. He did the same thing on Saturday when I talked to him. So they had nothing but good things to say about our town hall, but they had some issues with the Department of Health, and they said they just worked through them. So
Yeah. Yeah, and they said the same thing today at the ribbon cutting. So it's yeah, hopefully we can all support them and keep the town growing.
and I did
Um,
ask them if they change the name to Riverside Gelato, and he said no. They're going to keep Main Street. So I just figured I'd ask.
yeah. We can call it what we want as long as we go there.
That's right.
Um, for old business, the business street signs we talked about last month. Um, we did get a new one for Superior Storage. I brought it down to Kelly Genest for putting up. There's been a change in the shipping price of the signs, so I've updated the form, but I'm holding off to get it posted because they brought up the fact that if there's no signpost there, you may remember, Joe, way back we had this issue. If there's no signpost, whoever's putting up the sign has to pay for the signpost. If there's
Yeah.
an existing one, then they just pay for the sign.
Feedback, yeah. Now,
So
I would
I'm
say,
waiting. She's going to get back to me with a price for that, and I'll add that to the form and then get it put on our website.
Hey, just FYI, it just happened to catch my eye randomly the other day as I was pulling onto Route 12 from 200. Thompson Auto Care is still up, so that is a
I know.
space where the
I've
sign can
told her.
come down and make some room. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's not so much that, but I have told her, and we also have a KCAT sign up, and I have to give her a full official list. I have to finish driving around town.
have that. I have that. You asked me to give you this for this meeting, so I have all that information.
Oh, okay, good. Um, yeah, the thing is, if the sign is for Superior Storage, if Zach wants one in a spot where there is no signpost, that's where the extra cost would come in. Then other people could add on to that signpost without the extra charge. This is how it was since the beginning, and I had forgotten about it. So
Well, when
that's
I called them at the beginning of July, he told me that the signs were $100, including shipping.
yeah,
So I don't know.
they're not. And the shipping went from $15 to $20 with the last one that they received for Smiles. So Kelly let me know that, and I was going to talk to Zach tonight, and he left the ribbon cutting too soon, but I'll talk to him and let him know. I'm waiting to hear on the sign whether it needs a signpost where he wants his signs. So that's all I have. That's all I have for that. Hopefully we get some more from through the TBA.
Well, I do have the completed list of what signs that I had ordered previously, but I haven't driven around town to see if they're still up. But I imagine most of them are because who would take them down? Like, didn't you mention KCATS is up?
Yeah, I mentioned KCATs.
Thompson on there, you mentioned that.
Yeah. Yeah, and
How
she
about
thought she had taken that one down. She thought she had that one taken down, but I said I just saw it recently.
Free Time Away, is that one taken down too? And Monte Bianco?
Monte Bianco I've seen recently. But they'll now that they're back to full staff and everything, they can get back on that. So
Okay.
I'll follow up with that like I did last meeting.
Great.
For new business,
Before you go
okay.
on to new business, may I suggest that you guys move to amend your agenda to add number 2,
Yes,
6:30 Rivers. Yeah, okay, thank you.
I made a note. I forgot to add it to, so I had it all included in number 1. So yes, yeah, and I'm sorry about that. As far as new business, that we're selecting the business of the year next month. We received one nomination and I lost it. I'm thinking that I may have turned it into Kelly along with that street sign paper because they had been together. It's for Superior Storage. And I'll talk to Zach and see if he can scribble out a new one for me. I handed out forms at the last TBA meeting, so hopefully we get some more in time for the next meeting.
Yeah, I hope we get more than just one.
Oh, I know. It's a scramble every year, but this time I handed them hard copy because they never remember to go to the websites. And then the one that I did get, I lost. I'm pretty sure now that I can't find it. It's probably down at the town barn. So on to progress report. So
No,
as
we're on
Tara
new,
said,
we're on new
yeah,
business.
no, new business. Do we have any other the only new business I had was the street signs. Do we have any other new business?
Right, so that was, I was saying you should vote to amend your agenda to make number 2 under new business, 630
Oh.
Riverside.
Okay. Yeah, since I had forgotten to make a separate entity, but okay, let's do number 2. New business, 630 Riverside Drive, and Bob is here to talk to us.
Hey guys, how are
Robert.
you? Very
Robert, I'm
nice to
sorry.
meet everybody. I've seen these meetings. I've watched a couple of them now. Just try to get a feel for everybody and see what the how you guys conduct your meetings and what you're doing. I think it's wonderful what you're doing. Especially volunteering your time to do this stuff. And I believe I've been through Thompson now. I've come through this maybe a couple times a week now for several months. So I've been kind of looking around and just seeing I believe the town has so much potential. I mean, being the fact that we're, an hour and 6 minutes away from Boston, we're about 45 minutes away from Providence, and then, less than a half hour away from Worcester. I mean, it's incredible. And I'm looking at, so I'm a real estate broker too. And I'm looking at, I'm noticing the marketability, the properties that are coming on the market are just they're flying off the shelf. So, looking at it, and right now, just so you all know, there's only 7 homes currently on the market through the whole town, which is outstanding. And congratulations on the budget passing, by the way. I think that was a big step, for everybody here. So, yeah, so my name is Robert Letzkis, Refined Living. I'm looking at I've got a lot invested in the town already. I've got, just time and money, quite a bit of money on the 630 Riverside, the Belden Corticelli mill. Well, what used to be the mill. I wish it was still there, but anyway, it's a big piece of property. It's been dormant for 40 years now, other than the demolition and all that. We have a lot of contamination there. I met with my environmental guy. I don't know. Do you guys listen to any of the MISREC meetings or anything? I know Tier's there all the time, but
Yeah, Joanne is on the.
Yeah, Joanne's on MISREC too.
Joanne's there. Yep, I say.
And
Yep,
I am as of now, so.
Oh, okay. Fantastic. All right. So, I do the MISRAC meetings every month, and, I'm going to be doing, I would like to, if I get the invitation to be able to jump in with you guys here too, to try to help, because the critical part of that development is the commercial space. I believe that is what's going to create the vibrancy to help facilitate, because I'm going to be doing condominiums there as well. So, the whole front drag of Riverside being Route 12, I envision, and I've had plenty of schematic plans happen where we have retail on the first floor, units above, and then we're going to showcase the guardhouse. So I don't know if you've seen the Thompson Village or like you've seen the schematic plans. Has everybody seen that? Yeah. Okay, but either way, listen, it's forever changing. So it just could give you somewhat of an idea. So what we're doing is, we're looking at salvaging the historic significance of the site. So I want to save the guardhouse. I want to save the smokestack. That's on my wish list. I've seen some really cool developments where the smokestack has actually been incorporated into the development, being like schools and other uses, which has been, really cool to see. So what we want to do is we have about, I would say, a little bit less than half of the property to work with that's not in either A, a flood zone, or B, in wetlands. which still gives me a lot of room to work with. So I mean, just envision coming up and down Riverside and just having, business after business with, with vibrancy and having the guardhouse and businesses around the guardhouse, showcasing the guardhouse is like maybe we've been talking about maybe a small cafe, where you can come in. It's actually a lot bigger inside than you would think. It's like it's about 500 square feet altogether, which is pretty big. So we're thinking about a cafe there with retail around, maybe like a little green, like a green courtyard type thing where we could have bands playing and stuff like that in the summer. But I need your, we all need, I need your help. I mean, we need to help attract businesses to town. And, I'm here to help you guys too, because, retail and business is critical to that development. So whatever we could do as a unit, I've been in business decades now, over 20 years. So I've got a lot of experience in business. And I've got a lot of good ideas that I think can help attract businesses to town. On top of, we also have 300 units going up in the mill, the river mill. So we have that combined with ours. Plus, I'm also looking at small little lots in town to do like small single family homes just to kind of get started too. I think it's going to be a really, really big thing for the town, and I can't tell you how excited I am. We're super pumped. I've brought in a lot of people from out of town already in, just to drive by and take a look at stuff, and people are like, wow, this is beautiful out here. We'd be looking to do something too. So I'm all ears, and I'm willing to contribute my time and my efforts and my experience in business, and see what we can all do to help facilitate this and really get things going. I see a lot of potential here.
So just to tie some threads together, also joining us tonight is Todd Kallenbach, and we're going to be talking to him shortly about extending our marketing implementation contract. And that marketing implementation is specifically aimed at business development in the corridor, which is the downtown Mill District where Belding Corticelli is, and then routes 12 and 131 outside that district more supplementally.
Great.
So I would say that those are efforts we're going to coordinate going forward. And I know that I mentioned to you, once you have, and I would say that this is all mentally just preparation right now until you've actually taken title. But
Mhm.
once you do take title and have more than just concept plans, when you start to have real engineered floor plans,
Mhm.
that monthly real estate networking group that
Right.
we attend, which is
Yep.
the first Tuesday of every month,
Mhm.
starting the day after Labor Day, again for the season,
Yep.
um, that is a good group to connect with. And you can start joining us at those at any time that you like, but in
Mhm.
terms of the hard pitch,
Right. Right.
there's nothing to pitch until you own it.
I know exactly. These are just the people that I'm talking to now are people that I'm friendly with that, known for 10, 20, 30 years. Restaurant owners and people that do sushi and people that do ice cream and you know what I mean? There's a lot of people that I know. So yeah, by all means. And I'm excited about it because I believe, when you drive by and you look at this site and none of you have been in deep and dirty into the site like I have. I have literally fought prickers and weeds and bushes and growth to get through to the smokestack to evaluate it and stuff like that. To get this thing cleaned up and actually get this thing looking like a vibrant area where this 33 acres is, it's just going to change the whole dynamic of that strip. And I just can't wait to sink my teeth into it. So whatever we could do as a unit, guys, listen, I'm all ears. And I think that I believe at the end of this is going to be like a community project. I think that we could all combine our resources and, figure this out.
Does anybody have any questions or comments for Robert? Charlie, you've got your hand up.
Yes,
Hey, Charlie.
no doubt about it. Of some viable activity on that site will change the attitude But the people in this town are going to want to see it. And whoever said, show us the engineering plan, show us something tangible,
Mhm.
we can more readily mark it with you. Uh,
Mhm.
and Todd's going to come in. And of course, we're already leaning that way. We're
Mhm.
already discussing that site. Some of us have been on there. In the wintertime, it was a lot easier about
Yeah, 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 right,
Yeah.
right, yeah, yeah.
but this is just the thing. I'm glad you're moving it and moving in. It's a
Thank you.
great location. The whole town is,
Hmm.
and bringing in uh, 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 business and bringing in more residents is something that we've been looking at and kind of chasing our tail for years. But we've got lots of documents to show that we've been doing it.
Hmm. Sure, I've seen it. I've seen it
It
absolutely. And go ahead.
any team effort requires people who know what needs to be done,
Hmm.
and then those who will get behind and push it.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I can tell you this much. So, originally what we do, we came up with schematics, and then, I have a very, very experienced environmental consultant. And the town was able to get grants to do the phase 1, 2, and 3 environmental, which is about 1,700 pages, which I've actually combed through the entire thing, believe it or not. I'm a very I like to do my thing and have some fun, but I'm a very boring guy too. I went through that, and it's very complicated too, because what you do is you have your wish list. So you have the plot, you have your wish list. Then you get together with the environmental guy. We get look at the contours and what where the areas of concern are as far as the environmentals are concerned, and then we kind of move our way through it. I met with him on Friday. We went to lunch. I pulled out a big map, pulled out the drawings, and I'm like, okay, this is where I want to do this. This is where I want to do that. And he's like, okay, great. Let's start really moving this thing. So that's great. And the support, the support from everybody is critical to me too. I'm looking forward to that.
And just to give you guys some context, Robert's LEP, licensed environmental professional, is a friend and colleague of mine, so I can personally vouch for his professionalism. He and I are on the Brownfield Land Bank together. In fact, Tim recently took the seat of president of the land bank.
Oh.
So definitely somebody whose work I would feel very confident in. Lafredo, yeah, you had a hand up, I think.
Yeah, I just wanted to, and Robert might have heard this at the MISRAC meeting, just to emphasize, Robert, that when I moved to town, which was within a year of when Tara moved to town, one of my things I first noticed about this town was obviously that site and the other mill. And since I moved here, I've always had the feeling that the town's future depended on those bookends. You get that mill going on one side, you utilize the Belding Corticelli property. On the other side, now that whole section in between suddenly becomes viable to businesses, to people living there, jobs. And then it can, as you probably know from business, radiate out from there. Not so much sprawl, but head up Route 12 and 131 where there are other opportunities. And it just seems like there's been a lot of stops and starts, and I hope this works. There are other properties there that have never really gotten going. The red tape has been really a problem with some of those sites, and I know for people like you and Gumpert with the other site, you want to get it going because you don't make any money until something is getting built and you can sell it or rent it. And hey, I'm going to be 70 years old next year. Charlie's a little older than me. We want to see these things that we've been fighting for while we're still alive. So
Mhm.
I'm hoping that once, and again, I know there's huge obstacles for you, but I'm hoping that if you're the guy and this gets going, that we see actual development. I see it on the socials all the time, the people who doubt that anything's ever going to happen, the people who still want the other mill torn down, like that's going to solve anything except leave more brownfields. There's just a lot of people that have been in this town all their lives who just, they're show me that they haven't seen anything and they really need something to get started. And
Mhm.
we're behind you. I'm hoping you're the guy that really can get title, get these brownfields cleaned up, and really move it forward soon, not 10 or 20 years down the road.
Oh yeah. No, it is a you'd be surprised too how much things cost. I mean, I've already been, I'm into this project for, I'll just be honest with you, I'm into this almost 20 grand already. Just between the environmental liability relief program application that I had to do, schematics, videos. I mean, it's a lot. You know what I mean? And, I'm fully 100% invested.
So
So
when are you going to have a follow-up meeting? Because we could talk about this for a long time.
yeah, I'm so sorry. Yeah, we're getting lost in this.
I do want to talk about this. I know that site.
Yeah. I'm sorry, because every time I get excited about this, Bottom line is vibrancy. We want to get business here. I'll do whatever it takes. We could do this. If any of you want to do coffee at some point, we could do that too. I'm here. So I'm here. I'm invested. I want to get it going as fast as possible.
You live in the town area now?
I live in Madison, Connecticut.
Well, I'm not exactly sure where that. I moved over here from Rhode Island, and every place in Connecticut seems a long distance away.
Oh yeah.
Down in,
For me,
down in
yeah.
Shoreline near New Haven.
Spoken
Yeah.
like a true Rhode Islander. I love it.
Yeah, yep, exactly. No, I'm in Madison, which is, it is west of the casinos on 95 down the shoreline, like center of
Okay.
yeah,
Well, yeah, just make sure that we all have your contact info.
absolutely.
Those of us who really are excited about this will quickly reach out to you.
Absolutely. And
But
I
I-
appreciate all you guys, and thank you for allowing me the time. I don't want to take up too much time. Please, I apologize. I get going too much, so I
No,
apologize.
it's good
Sounds
to
like,
meet you
sounds like
and hear
Joanne
some of it.
has, it sounds like Joanne has a question.
Yeah, I don't know where the raise your hand is on my computer screen, so sorry, I'll just interrupt. Remember when we first started talking about the River Mill, how we had town quote meetings at the town library to kind of invite people in? Is that something that I think Robert should do too? Is because you know that rumors are going to start, and most of the people don't know what's happening. As a matter of fact, about a week ago, I heard somebody on Winnie Radio on the talk show. Somebody was talking about Thompson, and some woman called up and said that, yeah, there's so much happening. There's nothing happening in Thompson that somebody should do something with the mill site. And I wanted to call the talk show and say, well, somebody is doing something. Don't you pay attention? So we really need to get the word out, because people, most of them are going to be negative at first, and then they just need to be coaxed a
Yeah,
little
but to
bit.
Charlie's point, Joe, we've been talking about the mill for almost 15 years, and people are waiting to see something. That's why they don't believe us.
And the other
I
part of
have-
it is, we've all touched on it. It took somebody coming into the area with some money or contacts and money and a vision to do something, because as soon as if we can put up visuals, if we can put things up around so people can see it. We don't have a lot of billboards in town, but one right there on Route 12 would go a long way.
Yeah.
So-
These are things
That's
that
true.
we haven't had yet. So
Yep.
So just to, again, so to tie some more threads together, and I'm sure Todd is listening to this. Amy and I, at the very least, and a little bit in the MISRAC meetings, and a couple of us have already started talking, Joanne, exactly to that point.
Yep.
Loosely planning for a public engagement. We know that we're going to have to go to the town for something on this project, similar to what we did with the Gumpert project, right? So we're not going to be able to do that unless we've built up the goodwill first. So the timing on that is yet to be determined. Robert, I think you said you're coming in to see me next week, right?
Correct. Yeah, I think we have Thursday, right?
That sounds right to me off the top of my head.
Mhm.
So we can start talking about that. And I have already put town council on task to drop some of those I mean, he's had the task for a while, but he and I had a phone conversation last week or the week before. where we sort of, realigned the various outstanding pieces on several projects that I have for him, and I told him to filter this one up towards the top. So I don't expect that will take him too long. It's not that complicated an ask for him, but he does have multiple stuff. So that's something that we should keep in mind for our conversation next week.
Sure. Yeah, and I'm all for doing the community meetings. You know, I consider this a community project. I mean, everybody wants to see. I mean, I don't want to say everybody. A lot of people want to see this site developed. It's an eyesore. It's an environmental hazard. It's got to happen. Like now's the
Well,
time. Let's do it.
you need to be prepared. Yeah, and
I know.
I know that you are,
I've
because
been
you've
there.
already seen it on a small scale. You
Mhm.
need to be prepared for a very mixed bag of initial reactions.
Mhm.
Everybody here is going to be very supportive.
Mhm.
There is a certain segment that's going to be very supportive, but to Lafredo's point, we still have people who think we should be knocking the giant mill down
I know. I
for
know.
whatever reason, right? Or who think that it's somehow conceptually viable that there will ever be another factory in that building or on your site, right? Because there
Well,
is a segment that can only perceive things based on prior experience, right? There was a factory there before, therefore there should be a factory there again. It's in their comfort zone because they can see it in their heads.
Mhm.
So we will talk about the mechanics, the aesthetics, how you present, what you need to be prepared for increasingly as we get closer to whatever ends up being a presentation on the issue.
Yeah, and then once I'm done, just so you know, once we have the contour survey and all that, full, and we depict the wetlands with the soil scientists and all that, then once the schematics are finalized, I usually do videos, like a video walkthrough where people could see what's happening and stuff like that. You know, people walking around. I do all that. So that'll be something I know you guys will be very excited about, including us.
Excellent.
Yep. So any other
As long
questions?
as you're keeping the beloved little shack there.
You got
That will
to.
make
That's the whole point of the place. You know what I mean? It's
missed
like
the
the historic.
stairway, though. You missed the stairway.
I know. You know what?
What's that phrase, though? You're reminding me. Oh, I know. Success has 1,000 fathers, and failure is a bastard.
Oh,
So we wish you success. You're going to have a lot of support as soon as people can see it moving forward.
absolutely. And I need, all the help I can get here. So whatever we could all do together to make this work, let's do it.
So I do think we should probably move on from this shortly because Todd is here. But before
Sorry,
we do
Todd.
that, I just since we're talking about the guard check, Robert, I just gave screen share. If you just want to show some of the pictures of that interior to these guys, I think they'd get a kick out of it. And
Oh
then we
yeah.
can move on to Todd, I think.
Wow. Let me. Yeah, I gotta find that. Hold on.
If I was on my work laptop, I could pull them up, but I'm on
Yeah.
my
It's gonna
home
take
laptop.
me. It's gonna probably take me a few minutes to find that one. So just bear with me here. I apologize.
That's okay. If you want to move on to Todd,
Yeah, I
we
can
can
do it
always
again.
we can always look at those later.
Sure.
So, hi, Todd.
Hello.
So you're up. We're back in business. As we said, had been waiting for the budget to pass, so now we have to resume our plan. What's next for us?
Well, welcome back after your July hiatus. I was worshiping Thompson from afar, the horse being rescued from the pond, and all that other good stuff that's on the news. Just a quick recap of where we left off. The initial marketing implementation work was done under a 4-month contract from March through June of last year, where it was determined that we would start to really choose some tools that would build awareness of business support, business development, and redevelopment efforts in Thompson under the auspices of the EDC. So the results of that were we have a fully functional website, marketing website, Thompson EDC, ThompsonCT, We have additional content that was developed for social media. There was 3 new success stories developed, Rooney Insurance, Dan Bennett Construction, and Superior Storage. So we have some content, and we developed an e-newsletter template that wasn't sent out yet, but is ready to go, that is designed to include some of these highlights, as well as I work with Joanne. We actually incorporated some properties on there that were available for lease or sale. So again, the idea is to really build awareness that things are happening in Thompson, as evidenced by this whole discussion on 630 Riverside. It seems like you guys in a month has gone from leaps and bounds. So thank you, Robert. And anytime you're ready with the drawings, just let me know. I can pause.
Awesome.
Yeah, so going forward, this was listed in the proposal, not in the agreement, but there was an additional optional year of work on the implementation that would run in line with the fiscal year, where we had some of the tools basically developed, so some of the upfront costs were absorbed, but the goal of moving forward would be on a monthly basis to have me involved in getting this storytelling done and actually using the tools that we developed to get it out. So kind of prorated that. The available budget was 15 at the time, and that was prorated over the year. I'm just looking for a little bit of direction from the group tonight to say, hey, if you want to move forward, we'll get this to an agreement and we'll just get started. The only other change is related to me. Since we left off, I had a transition in my business, just moved from one LLC to another, but we're now fully established, all set with the state, insured, ready to go. So that's just a sort of a back office thing, but I'm ready to get started again if you guys are, and welcome any questions or changes that you want to make in tonight's meeting before we move forward.
And to the best of my knowledge, and Joanne, you could confirm this from the budget sheet, that $15,000 for special projects came through unscathed in the budget, unless I am mistaken. That was,
15. Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
15. So we do have the full amount that was discussed as the extension contract.
That's perfect, because that's what we got approval for.
So does anybody need any refresher from Todd or want to provide any new information for Todd?
I want to provide some information, in case he hasn't already been apprised. We're going to have a ribbon cutting out at the Great East Thompson Memorial Train Wreck Park.
Okay.
Yeah, get that right. We're going to be inviting in people who were helping us in the planning stages, and from state and other agencies and groups. And I don't know how all the progress on that is going. I've suggested a few people we could contact, but I hadn't been asked. So, but that's coming up, and yet I think it's today is like Railroad History Day on the calendar. I never knew such a thing was possible, but I saw it recently, and if it's not today, it's sometime nearby. That's not to coincide with the ribbon cutting, but that's coming up in September sometime, and I'm sure we'll be talking about that later. But how do we go about marketing that in advance, or using that information and imagery to enhance the reason to come to town? Viability is a word I've been hearing a lot this evening, and it's a good one. So I just wanted to toss that out. That somebody asked for ideas.
Yeah, it's another great example of things are happening in Thompson. They don't, not everything has to be related to a business opening or a land deal or that kind of stuff, because everything, it's an ecosystem, right? So everything is supportive of development in that regard. And I'm available to cover those too. I was out, during the late spring, early summer when Comptroller Scanlon was there for the day doing a walkthrough. So we were able to tag on to their social media and promote that as well too. Again, it's evidence to not only Thompson residents, because we're looking beyond the borders to the broader community to say things are happening in the town of Thompson. And just like Mr. Letzkis, he's discovered, what a great opportunity this is from the outside looking in. And that's what we want to do is, I mean, of course, we want the support of residents, and of course, we want the support of local businesses. But our goal is to really go beyond the borders and get the story out more broadly, because a lot of development potential is going to come from beyond Thompson.
Do you have contacts at the television stations and the regional coverage with radio and that? So
Yeah, I do. I'll be honest, it's kind of tough to get TV stations and radio that is not local to come in for these types of events, just because they
yeah,
can happen on any given day. Well, what I'm saying is we create our own content and we provide it for them.
okay.
And we have photography, we have B-roll video, we have stuff that we can.
That's fine. That's capturing the imagery and using it, and then
Yeah.
whether we can get them up there in advance or not. I know how these guys work.
Yeah, otherwise I have to have a horse get stuck in the mud in the pond every that's what brings that's the type of stuff they'll come out for.
Or better yet, a 5-foot long monitor lizard.
Oh, exactly. I forgot that one.
You have
Not
never
that yet.
seen a story go viral in Northeast Connecticut like the story of Goose on the Loose. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Did they find
Totally organic viral content.
Well, you know
Charlie-
what? I was in Wisconsin and I was getting that story.
Wow.
Nope.
Charlie, do you guys have a press release for that opening? Because
No,
that's
I
how I
haven't.
usually entice.
No, I'm
the
just
movement.
on the Trails Committee, but Karen Durlash and Tara Penn have been pulling the strings together. So
If we can get a press release and that can get sent to me, I usually funnel all of those to any news outlets if I want news to show. So
there
you
you
do
go.
typically how we do it is 14 days before an event, flush it out there. Another 7 days or week of the event, you send it again, but then you follow up with a phone call asking for local coverage.
Yeah, so Andrew, we've got a special meeting with Trails specifically for that kind of detail planning.
Okay.
I don't remember the date off the top of my head, but it's within that window. And I would expect that a formal presser will be drafted at that point. Maybe a little earlier, but certainly by then.
Okay. If you want to share it with me, cool. If somebody else wants to take lead on that, no problem. Don't want to step on anybody's toes, but just here to help.
Do you
I
know
think
when
it's the
that is,
15th,
Tara?
Tara. The 15th.
Do I know when? Do I
15th?
know when what is, Yacino? The meeting or the event?
No, the event. I'm sorry.
The event is Saturday, the 27th of September at 10 a.m. It'll be in the Walktober guide.
Yeah, and our meeting is the 15th of September. It's a Monday. And it's 2 weeks in advance. So it falls together real well with what Andrew was just asking about.
Yeah. Add that to the list.
Is that Trails meeting open to the public?
Yeah,
Any meeting of a public body is always open to the public,
Perfect.
and it will be posted.
And that was at 5 p.m.
Probably 6:30 or 7.
6:30. Okay.
6:30 is what I have at the town hall in the meeting room.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Good. See, now we're starting to learn how to get ahead of the curve. And it's all because it only took us 6 years, but we're getting there.
Yeah, so
Don't want
that'll
to
be
be
something.
hasty. Don't want
So-
to be hasty.
So Todd, what else at this point, right, at the initiation of this contract extension, do we need to go over in this moment, from your perspective?
I think I covered the basics of it. Is the nuts and bolts are to get the agreement going so we just can get started. I mean, I would gear it at this point probably to what September 1, something like that. Or, and just start to work through these meetings. I'm taking notes at each one as to things that are coming up that need some attention, right? We've got we got this September event. We've got other things we can talk about too, just so that I have enough to create some of the content, some of the stories and stuff that we'll push out, add to the website, put out through social media, press releases, through the e-newsletter, et cetera. The one outstanding item, working either offline or through the group here, is to flesh out that contact list for the e-newsletter database. We were planning to get business registrations through the assessor's office, the Thompson Business Association membership list, anything the chambers could provide, any other sources of email addresses, just so we can build this database and have an initial audience to distribute content to.
And remind me, Todd, did we initiate some of those emails prior to the end of the first contract? Or did that never really happen?
Brian and or Dan were going to reach out to the TBA. I believe either through you, Tira, or directly, I sent a note to the assessor, who I guess is the person who would maintain the active business registrations. But that's easy to retrace those steps and start it up again.
Right. Okay, yeah, I just want to be sure that it's not, I just wanted to know whether this is a follow-up to some of these organizations or whether it's cold from this point, I guess, is because it changes the way the next email comes out, right?
Yeah, I'll
Hey,
take a look.
it's either, hey, just a reminder, or hey, guess what we're doing now, one or the other.
Yeah, and I did work with the TBA. You remember there was an issue with should they disclose the member list, and I think the way we left it, because I had talked to the president and the secretary, I think secretary was going to contact you and work out some way, whether it's you send it to one address and then the TBA disseminates it. I think that's the way they were leaning. That's not up to me, but I did have a couple discussions with them and I can follow up.
That'd
Yeah,
be great, Casino.
Once we actually build out the addition or the issue of the email, yes, it'll be a website link, and they can push it out if that's how they choose to proceed, versus just basically giving us their addresses. I don't need any appended names or addresses or anything like that, and we'll push it out directly so everybody gets one individually in their mailbox. I can retrace my steps on that very quickly tomorrow and see where we left off on contacts to these organizations. I know there's a meeting of the commercial real estate group, the breakfast meeting, right? Is that next week, Tira? Maybe we could
It
ask
is
them.
the day
the
after
second.
Labor Day.
Okay, so it's the day after Labor Day. Okay, so we got a little bit of time on that too.
Little nitty gritty question. What is the name of your new LLC again?
It's my name. It's Todd M. Callenbach LLC.
Okay.
The website address is TMK Communicate, so that's kind of what we're using. I'm using TMK as the new DKA, the short acronym.
So what I would suggest, Yacino, is requesting a motion for the commission to approve the extension of the contract to Todd M. Callenbach LLC in the amount of $15,000 for fiscal year 26. That's what I would recommend.
That,
Mr. Chairman,
yeah,
I'd like to make the motion that we extend the contract for $15,000 for the next fiscal year to continue the work that we've been on.
Second.
okay. We have a second. Do we have any more discussion on this? All those in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
And any opposed? Okay. So Todd M. Callenbach has it.
So Todd, you can get me a new agreement to sign then.
I'll get it out to you tomorrow.
We're off to the races.
Welcome back, Todd.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate your faith in moving forward. And certainly now that we've got, the rest of 25 and 26, the first half to look at, anything's changeable and flexible. So these meetings are great because we can shift on the fly. We can prioritize. I can react pretty quickly, as well as we can be proactive in looking ahead and building out our calendar as we look forward. Again, I'm amazed at what I'm hearing about 630 Riverside. That's just great for everyone. It's tremendous. It's a great story.
I have those photos up too, by the way, if you want to see them.
Yeah. You screen shares enabled, so whenever you want.
Just real quick. All right, check this out. So this, let's see if you guys can see that.
Coming
That's
up.
that's the smoke.
Yes. Yeah.
All right.
Oh.
So I made it all the way to it. It looks like a little pizza oven, doesn't it?
It does look
Yeah.
like a pizza oven.
Wasn't there a big door though? Was
I'm
on the
sure
other
there
side?
was a blast door on that.
There was a huge, no, this is like small. This is like a pizza oven style, but I was disappointed because I thought there was a bigger opening than this. Charlie, do you know?
Not for sure. No, the place was shut down. The building was still there when I moved to the area, but the place was
Mhm.
shut down. If there
Oh.
was a door left there, it's underneath the brush.
My uncle, so I brought my uncle over there because he has the drone. We flew a drone up this thing to measure it out. It's 135 feet in the sky.
Yeah.
And he was like, "No, it's underneath the ground." I said, "No, I don't know about that." And sure enough, I mean, I took him out of there. His arms were all bloody from the weeds and stuff like that. We had a bear of a time in there, but so I mean, if I could find that door, that's even better for me as far as some of my ideas that you guys will be impressed with.
If it was left
Robert, I'm
there,
reasonably sure if there was anything of any value in that site when it was demolished, it's long since gone.
Yeah,
that's why I said if.
yeah. So there's could you see the second picture?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So that's just going up to look at the structural integrity of it. Then here is the two doors. So this is on, if you're facing the building, they're on the left-hand side. So my vision would be, you've got kind of like a come in, come out type egress here. I'll just show you a little bit more. This is cool. So I'm thinking of, hold on. How can I mark this up?
That little round
big.
counter is so cool.
Is it cool? I'm going to save that. Yeah, because I
Yeah,
think
that's great.
yeah, you come in here and then, you can go and like in the back would be the cafe, or where you could, order coffee or something like that. And then there's a little sitting area in the front. And then you could sit obviously in the back of the building too with outdoor seating. I think that would be a real cool idea.
Yeah.
Then this is, just a little bit more. Look how lovely that is, huh? The ground is the floor is caved in. Obviously some mold, lead, stuff like that, but we're used to it by now. We've done this a bunch of times. And then that's a little close up of it.
That's fabulous.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I
It
mean,
is.
it's big, right? You wouldn't think it's that big.
No, I would never dream it was that big.
Yeah. So
Imagine with the light too.
yeah,
I
so
don't. Why that curve was put there. I can't imagine what the original purpose of it was. Architecturally, it doesn't make sense right there.
yeah, I mean, and there's a half bath which I'm going to save. So obviously I'll gut it all, but yeah, I mean, so you have a half bath for a restaurant or coffee or whatever, So those are the photos.
I wouldn't want the coffee out of that sink.
No, definitely not. But but I made it. I climbed through hell and high water to get in that thing, so I did it.
Yeah, to Charlie's point earlier about people wanting to see something, as soon as you take ownership, even clearing that property is going to get people excited.
It is. And by the way,
Then, it's only talk. We've been talking forever.
you've got over 30 acres there, and your actual brownfield zones are very small. You may
Yeah.
be able to
It's
work
tricky. It's tricky because the brownfields is all around the French River, right? But then there's like I wanted to, maybe start around the guardhouse, but then there's like little pockets of areas concerned, like around the guardhouse, like maybe like 75 feet from it. one corner. And then when you come in off the
Oh.
side road where those couple of houses are, where the Triangle Park is, when you come down that street, if I was to enter in that way, there's an area of concern right there too, which there's metals in the ground. So I'm
Make
like,
sure I have your email. I've been looking at that, as so has Brian LaFredo. We've been looking at that property, trying to figure out what are the real weaknesses, what are the real encumbrances there.
well, I could tell you that there's, in the back when you go, past when you're coming in the side of it, on the side of the guardhouse, there, it does slope down and it's in a flood zone. So I'm handcuffed on that, even outside of the wetlands. So I'm
Yeah, but
handcuffed on that as far as residential.
that's still small compared to the 33 acres. So
Oh yeah, no, I probably have 12 acres to work with on this site, 11,
I
12.
would say 12 acres is pushing it,
Yeah,
Robert, but probably between 7 and 11 is how we've figured it previously. But that's when I say between 7 and 11, that's 7 and 11 fully developable acres. As you and I have discussed,
mhm.
um, non-residential development, recreation space, parking area, commercial, those things are all at a different standard, which obviously you know. But in
Mhm.
terms of fully developable, like you're avoiding that wetland and flood zone
Yeah, the
footprint for
flood
the
zone's tricky.
residences,
The
you know,
flood
you're,
zone's tricky.
yeah,
But
yeah,
I,
then,
but I
then
did, go ahead.
really around 7 if you take that into account.
Yeah, and of the flood zone, I actually have Tim and I went over some really cool ideas, even with as far as biodiversity and agricultural tie-in to the commercial, which you and I are going to talk about next week, Tara. I got a little surprise for you on this one. So
I look forward to seeing what you've worked up.
yeah. We're just, the flood zone just kills the residential. You just can't do it. Everything has to be above grade, and I mean, you
Yeah.
in the shoreline where you see these homes built up on stilts, nobody wants to see that. So
Yeah, honestly though, it's really not that bad because I mean, obviously I've seen your concept drawings and
mm,
you were mostly in
right,
the developable footprint anyway, and you demonstrated how many units you can fit there. And
yeah,
to have the green space or whatever other supplemental uses on there, to have a diversified site is actually to have a very appealing site. I mean, I don't really need to tell you this, you know this.
yeah.
Uh,
Think
but we'll talk
pleasantly
about that more next.
surprised. I think you'd be pleasantly surprised once we started talking about this and then tying in the agricultural spin on this thing. It's going to surprise a lot of people. So
I like it.
yep. So sorry to take up any more time.
Okay,
So
it's all
what's
good
next,
stuff.
Yacino?
Well, next we have a grant application update.
Oh, well, so I have not been pursuing any new grants other than the ones you already know about because I'm waiting on my contracts for my two big grants and closing out the other sort of medium to large grants. I don't have a target for any new project, so to speak. The only one that's pending is the congressional appropriation. And you guys know the history on that. Courtney took it, approved it, got scrubbed from the fiscal 25 budget. But then I was encouraged to send it in for the fiscal 26 federal budget. We'll see how that pans out. That's site work related to 65 Main, not the structure, the permaculture park, etc. So that's the only one that I authored that I would consider pending. Rivermill, I think you guys know the award was increased to 2.3 million. Uh, we're still just waiting on the contract from the state. We've done what we can there, and we're on their timeline now. But the flood mapping hurdle is cleared. We do have Eagle Environmental working on the bid documents because he can work on those while we're waiting for the contract because the state has to approve the bid documents before we go out anyway. So that's a time-saving measure we can undertake in the meantime. and then the $4 million is in a similar boat. We're waiting on the contract, but that one is actually moving much faster. Because that, you know, the Brownfield grant was awarded in January or February of 21. And here we are in August of 25, still waiting on a contract. But that had to do with, again, flood mapping and the ownership being complicated. Blah, you know, you guys know that whole story. We don't have any of those kinds of complications for the $4 million grant because we own all the property involved. The only thing that's holding us up right now, well, other than waiting on the contract, is our designer working on the Main Street reconstruction in Swanson Park. Because part of that project is the northern intersection with Route 12 and Main Street. Route 12 is a state road, so DOT, in addition to DECD as the grantor, DOT has to approve that design. That was stalled for a while for reasons I don't quite understand. We thought maybe they were waiting for a certain document to be completed, but whatever. Within the last 2 weeks, the designer and I have had actual response from DOT. They should by now have, from our designer, full sets of plans for review that they are looking at actively. And then it's the same thing. Our guy can write the bid documents while we're waiting to finalize the contract. My fingers are crossed that we're going out to bid before the end of the calendar year on both the River Mill hazardous materials abatement and all of the heavy construction work for Main Street, sidewalks, Swanson Park. The little open-ended piece there is that the $4 million grant also includes the completing the interior renovation on 65 Main. We need the architecturals for that, and I have to write an RFP for that. I keep meaning to connect with Steve Lewis from Mizrac. I have a feeling that's going to be a little easier once we're out of the summer. You know, people do things during this. I haven't been super aggressive about, I mention it to him every couple of weeks, but we just haven't sat down to do it. It won't be a hard RFP to write. I might even be able to do it without his assistance, but I'd rather have an actual architect write an architectural RFP with me, just for obvious reasons. And then if we can clear that, it's the same thing. We get approval from the bid documents from the state, and maybe that also goes out to bid before the end of the calendar year. I think those are all achievable goals. So then, assuming the contracts are actually signed, I am always cautiously optimistic because I am constantly overestimating the speed with which the state can move. But I am still cautiously optimistic that in 2026, Main Street will be reconstructed. Visible construction will be going on at River Mill. Like, these projects should be visible, which, to Charlie's point, to your point, that's what people are waiting on. Everybody here knows we've been working on it all along. That work is happening, but it's not physical work. It's been all on background. And you know, that is not satisfying to people. It's not satisfying to me, and I'm doing it.
Tara, speaking of visibility, yesterday, I forgot to mention to you, I saw at least one piece of equipment being used by the old hardware store on the other mill site. Is that something Gumpert's up to? I was thinking when I went by, it was too late. Oh, take a picture so people can see something's happening on the site.
I do not know the answer to that question, Lafredo. It is certainly possible because the old hardware store is a part of that deal. I got to be frank, the only thing they could possibly be doing over there is tearing it down. That building is a loss. It is, my understanding is that it is riddled with black mold and has, you know, roof cave-ins. I don't think that building is salvageable.
Oh, no, I mean, it's just that's a sign of progress that that even if we don't have the brownfields grant ready to go to start that work, that there is something visible being done to hold off the social media people.
Yeah, no, I hear
Nothing's
you.
happening.
Gumbert is actually free to start his portion of the remediation, which is the dirty dirt, soil and groundwater, at any time. He owns it. So, and I do not know what is holding him back there. He does have a local property manager clearing out debris from the interior of the building. Again, and not hazmats, just like the detritus
Mhm.
of 80 years of whatever. But again, not visible, right? It's just like a guy and his assistant clearing out garbage. But it is happening.
If it's
I'll ask
appropriate.
Gumpert about that piece of equipment because I
Yeah,
haven't been by and noticed that recently.
I don't know what to call it, a bulldozer, something smaller, but I'm not big on naming equipment pieces. If this is an appropriate time, do we have any updates or progress report on the land by Grosvenor Pond, or the old shirt factory or St. Joe's?
Sort of. Charlie actually met with me and CT Deep and the owner uh, to look at the dam, and we were supposed to have received some kind of Gantt chart about the progress there. We haven't received it, and that was in probably early July that we had that. I do know that he's called, he meaning the owner of all three of those parcels, the shirt shop, the 50 acres and the 150 acres. I know that he called the tax collector late last week or early this week, uh, looking to try to find out what the arrears are and make some arrangements. I only know that because Scott came into my office to tell me. So I presume that they're working something out there. I believe there is a nonprofit developer going to take ownership of Quinn's Shirt Shop from him, um, a nonprofit housing developer, because that's an approved special permit, and that would be an easy way for him to turn some cash to invest in the rest of the property. Uh, I Scott said that the owner mentioned something about that transaction going on. Um, but obviously now at this point it's like hearsay because I didn't have that conversation, so I don't know where they are. But that's these things just are slow. As to St. Joe's, actually, just before this meeting, I had an email from that developer just checking in on an email that I had sent to a guy from a program called Build for CT right before I went on vacation. I never got a response back from that program, so I'm going to follow up on that tomorrow. But they're still interested in the project. I don't think it's super high on their priority list. I think they're having a hard time making it pencil out. But it's part of their portfolio, and at least that project is up to date on its taxes. And of course, it was tax exempt for all those years prior. So, um, stuff is just not, it doesn't move on human scale. It moves on an entirely different scale. Glacial.
Glacial, yeah.
I would like to elaborate a little bit on that meeting at the Grosvenorville Dam. We met with two people from DEEP, with an engineer who had been doing some study on the purpose of his study was to remediate and stabilize the dam to prevent catastrophic failure. That's the approach he took. I went there as a representative of the Wetlands Commission in case he had questions about wetlands issues. I could make sure that they got to the right place. The point is, the engineer was not factoring in using that those gears and the spillway or the millway or the mill race, which is now kind of choked out with weeds and algae. He was not looking at that. He was looking at somehow stabilizing the dam itself and lowering the water level and addressing overflow at the side of the dam closest to the railroad tracks, where there's some places that he had looked at and could adjust the spillover. When the owner, John Gumpert, is that his name? When he showed up,
No, Gumpert's the big mill. It's the gentleman who owns North Grosvenor Pond Dam and the 150 acres in Quinn's Church Shop, yada yada, is Mike Licamelli.
okay, he also, though, he expressed right away that he was interested in hydro. I'm not sure, and I wasn't thinking it at the time. I was thinking with my wetlands hat on. And I'm not sure if we're going to stir up a can of worms, but I think we want to make sure that that person, the new owner, is aware of that. So when he talks with his hydro engineer, he sees it right away. Just a thought. And we got sidetracked because we had that meeting canceled last month, and we also had problems with wetlands, so I couldn't talk about it in either of those categories until just the last few days. But I do think, Tara, I think that we would do well to make sure that he is aware of that. I don't think that he caught that when we were there. I think it was talked about
He
before
certainly is
he
aware
showed
that
up.
that equipment is there.
Oh, I don't know. There were a couple of discussion points both before and after he arrived, and it can be tough after 2 months and 74 years to get all of the dates and paragraphs in the right spot. But as I was driving away, it occurred to me that maybe I should have talked about it from the standpoint of economic development. It's viable. The engineer says, "Oh, I don't think he'd be able to get a permit." I don't think he'd have any more trouble getting a permit than Fort Hill Farm did. It's a electric generator.
He's not talking about a town permit. He's talking about a permit from the state.
Yes, and also that requires the Public Utility Commissions has to do it too. They had to get that stuff at Fort Hill Farm, and it was approved. So I don't see where the mine engineer or the dam engineer was only looking at stabilizing the dam. And I think it probably would have been more challenging to refurbish it to a point that could be a viable electrical producer for a large part of the year. It doesn't have to do it all year long. It just has to do it for enough of the year to make money off of it. And that's what we're talking about, economic development, make money off of it. Sure, keep the pond there. Sure, keep it looking like it did. But the new owner wants to make some electricity and make some money. So he did also, though, he said something that I thought, when he said it, I thought, why does that familiar? He was talking about some sort of water rights, which I had only ever heard of out in the rain shadow of the Rockies and places like Arizona and Wyoming, where they actually kill people because they lost their water for their agricultural purposes. Apparently, the guy that had owned the dam wants to retain some sort of water rights. And this new owner wanted to know, had we heard anything like that? You know how it is? It's at the tip of my tongue. I knew that I had heard of, not on the East Coast, though, never before. So around 2000, I started reading books that talked about the global water supply not becoming available and how if a country had water, they'd be wealthier than those that have oil.
Charlie, you're getting pretty far in the weeds on this topic, so.
Well,
We
I
appreciate it,
remember
but let's move
he
along.
talked about water rights. He talked about water rights, and it was the first time. I think it's going to come along more, but I did remember it, and Tiro might remember that he asked, but anyway, I don't expect to see him anytime soon.
Thank you,
Thanks, Brian.
Charlie.
All right, so we're done, we're done with grants and water rights. Joe, you have a real estate update? Is Joe still there?
Looks like we lost her phone. So she can probably hear and see us, but if she's not connected to her phone, she can't report in.
Okay.
If her phone makes it back in, you can go back to the agenda item.
Okay, the next thing I have is just to cap the upcoming events. We have Community Day, October 4th, of course, and we'll do our business of the year in the September meeting. Bicentennial events begin on Columbus Day, the town bicentennial events. A reminder, I think I brought it up here. Turtle Lot is having a career day on October 24th. So businesses are welcome to set up and talk to the students. I did bring that up at TBA also. And the turkey trot is November 9th this year. Don't know if Bry Lafredo has an update on turkey trot.
The 9th or the 8th? I thought it was the 8th, but maybe I'm wrong.
I saw the 9th. If that's wrong,
No, the 9th is correct. That's a Sunday. Okay.
okay.
Yeah, no real updates after the our community day meeting the other day. We stretched that out into a little bit of a Thompson Together meeting because of the upcoming election and the turkey trot with Chelsea there and me and Brian Levency. We talked a little bit about where we're at with donors and what progress we made. And Brian and I are being a little more aggressive. We had a drive around town that day, and two of the businesses we approached signed on. So we have two new sponsors there to help make up for a couple that we lost. And kind of suggested to him that while I'm going after my certain group, that he makes contact with we sent out letters early this year that got us over $5,000 booked already. And with the promised money mainly from the major sponsors, we're up to about 12,000. But we want to obviously get back everybody that we can and add more. So, he sent me a note a little before this call of some of the people he reached out today. I made a contact, as you know, at the, I think at the gelato, which is always important. Speaking to Robert today. So feeling a little better about maybe hitting our number and maybe exceeding it from last year. There's really nothing else to talk about because everything else is pretty much routine and automatic at this point, as long as we don't take it for granted and wait too long. So talk to Brian a little more about that, not to be afraid of going early with ordering the awards and stuff like that. So we're not waiting till the last minute. And a couple other ideas came up that we always use constables at Community Day and Maker Fair, but we never have them at Turkey Trot. That couldn't hurt to help with our volunteer situation. And he also confirmed, that was on the email today. We wanted to put a bounce house or like the long running one as part of the kids fun run. And it's something they can continue to play on maybe while their parent or one of their parents, whoever's not watching them, is running the race. And he did get confirmation for a donation of that from the bounce house people he uses. So good progress there. All our major sponsors are back except for Heritage Valley Ford. They dropped down from a major sponsor to still a generous $500 level. But this year, due to his work that he's expecting from Yukon. Jeff Bolte through Claris Multimedia is stepping up to that spot and taking the mile marker, the kilometer marker sponsorship. So we still have all our major sponsors accounted for this year.
Before anybody goes on and before I forget, because you mentioned the gelato place again, Todd, please make a note to yourself, because I'm terrible about making notes to myself, when we talk tomorrow, about me putting you in touch with the Hanshaws for another local business testimonial.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Hey, it's Joanne.
Hi,
My
Joe.
phone died the minute you introduced me to talk about real estate. My phone died. My battery died, so I had to
I
run
saw
around and
your
find my
note.
other. Sorry. So just really quick. 10 homes have sold in the past 2 months because we didn't have the July meeting. So 10 houses have sold, and we currently only have 6 houses for sale between $399 and $699, and the same 5 companies are still for sale. The same 4 commercial properties are still for sale. The only one that sold was on 1020 Riverside, and that sold almost 2 months ago.
Yeah, I thought that sold.
Yeah, it did. I couldn't tell you about it last month, so I'm telling you about it now.
Well, thank you.
So,
I was
The
looking
update.
on Zillow or something. I had an email of, properties for sale, and I was shocked at how many pending sales there were and how few
yeah.
were available, even though people on social media say, oh, there's so many houses for sale in town, everybody wants to move out. Houses are coming up for sale and they're getting bought as quick as they go on the market.
Well,
So
and Robert said that right in the beginning of the
Yeah.
meeting.
Hey,
So
can I
let me
real quick?
just tell you, how I react internally whenever somebody says that, oh, I'm going to move from here, I'm going to move from here. My internal response is, that is the beauty of owning an asset. You can use or dispose of it as you see fit. And those increased property values that the people who were all incensed about, they would take advantage of that, and somebody's going to move in who's going to think this is the best place they've ever seen.
Absolutely.
So I view that like, oh, you're going to force people to move out. Nobody's ever forced to move out, but everybody's life changes, right? I lived in an apartment, and then I lived in a condo, and now I live in a house. And if this house ever doesn't suit my needs anymore, I'll move to a different house. Like, that's what owning a real estate asset is.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, I just had to get on that soapbox because it drives me crazy. I'm done with that now. Sorry.
Kara, I don't know if this has to wait for a member. Well, you're not really a member, you're ex officio or whatever you are in this.
I'm your
But
advisor.
you told me to remind you about for the meeting about the joint EDC MISRAC. That's the note I wrote. I forget what it was actually about.
Oh, yeah, and it would be under events. So while Yasina was talking about the the first one of significance, well, other than the airline trail ribbon cutting, but the
And I
first
didn't know
regular
about
one.
that one.
Right,
Yeah,
was,
that's not on
you
here,
you
but
wouldn't
now we
have. But
do.
anyway, so Community Day. And when we were at the Community Day meeting, um, we're talking about, and part of this was spurred by like all of this Sturm und Drang over the budget, and people, obviously, if you go on social media, if you listen to the commentary, people just really genuinely, A, not knowing how things work, but B, also, to somebody else's earlier point, not understanding that things actually are happening and that there is progress. So suggesting that EDC and MISRAC have an actual formal presence at Community Day, it would mean some group of this commission plus some group of the MISRAC commission putting aside time to be there that day and talk about the projects. And, my job would probably be to put some materials together, maybe with Todd's help, possibly. But to talk about the redevelopments, the business potential, the things that are happening. So that's one piece of that. And then what that would lead into, do you guys remember right before COVID, I can tell you the date, it was March 4th, 2020, we did that Ask Me Anything
Yeah.
with all of the departments and volunteer commissions making themselves available for an open house drop-in for the public. I'm going to be going to the America 250 meeting tomorrow. I've been technically on that committee, but not attending because my role was supposedly to be to look for grants, but there was nothing grantable there. So I just haven't been that involved. But again, partly spurred by the obvious lack of understanding, and I'm not saying that in a judgmental way, the obvious lack of understanding of how these processes work and what people do at town hall, and the mistrust that not understanding engenders. We're going to do another Ask Me Anything to lead into, hopefully, the Citizens Academy that we wanted to do after that last Ask Me Anything. 16 days after that Ask Me Anything, the world shut down for COVID. So we never went back to it. This time as a part of America 250, right? Because it's celebrating what? It's not just fireworks. It's not just people shooting at each other in a revolution. The actual revolution was the actual democracy of the people that flowed from it. So this would be sort of the civics and humanities piece, um, which was the only real reason I was interested in the America 250 thing from go. But what I initially wanted to do was too complex, and then there was nothing grantable, so I've been out. So assuming that everybody on the committee agrees to it, you can plan for that on the 3rd or 4th of December, whatever the first Wednesday of December is. I think it's actually the 3rd. Um, uh, anyway, so yes, that's what I had wanted you to remind me of, Lafredo. Thank you for doing it. That's all I have on it right now, but just keep it in,
That's the
keep it on
3rd
your
of
radar.
December. You're right. That's the Wednesday. And this is uh, like a public meeting to
It would be just
every,
like it would be just like the last Ask Me Anything.
okay, ask me anything.
Department heads and hopefully at least one representative from each volunteer commission committee. Obviously, some of those are a bigger deal than others. I would put, there's the big four: selectmen, finance, ed, and planning and zoning at the top, and then EDC, wetlands, MISRAC. There's like a middle tier where people are still doing important work, but they're not as high profile. And then there's a whole series of committees and commissions that probably nobody's going to come ask anything about, but we want them to be involved so that we can field questions, answer them informally without sort of the tension that exists in a regularly scheduled meeting. And from that Ask Me Anything, based on people's interest level, then develop could be anywhere from 4 to 6 to 12 weeks of the Citizens Academy, people who are interested in learning really more, who would then potentially be your next round of municipal volunteers, and maybe 2 years from now, even your next round of serious candidates for local office.
Hmm.
So that's the purpose. That's my pitch. I just wanted you guys to be aware of it.
And
Thank you.
not only should we put in a presence there, but we have to give consideration to a more visible presence at community days.
That's
Well,
what I
that's
was
what Tira
saying was
said.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm seeing that. I'm just drawing the dots together, connecting the dots. And whether we can make it up to the ribbon cutting at the memorial park or not, we've already talked about it with Todd, and he's got an idea about helping us to get publicity before and after the fact. That's one of the first really big success stories that this commission has been seen come about. And we did help fund the first studies and the first, surveys and things of that nature. Once it got to a certain point that the life of its own took over. So I don't know what we, as the Economic Development Commission, could bring to offer to show people there, but it is part of what we're recognizing: outdoor recreation and the culture and the history of the town. So and for a long time before we met Todd, especially, we've been saying we're doing the right things, but we're not telling people. And now we are starting to tell people.
That's what we're trying to do.
It's the
But
only way
I'm
we
gonna
can
move on,
reverse what
Charlie.
these morons are screaming about. But
I'm
yes,
gonna
that's
move
what we're
on
trying
because
to
it's after 8. Yeah, the only other event I look forward to is the swap meet at Thompson Speedway, first weekend of November. But we'll add these other things to the list for next month. So now we're up to, well, citizens' comments pertaining to agenda items. If Todd and Robert have anything else to say, this is your time.
I just want to thank everybody. Thank you for for your time tonight. I'm sorry it went so long.
It's good stuff. Don't worry. We're
Good
happy
stuff.
to talk to you.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
And Todd's nodding, so he's good.
I just want to know what MISRAC is.
It's the Mill Sites Redevelopment Advisory Committee.
Got it.
We made that up about 10 years ago.
Mhm.
No, 12 years ago. 15 years ago, maybe. I forget. It's been a long time.
Have you
Been
been
a
on
while.
since the beginning, Joanne?
I have been at the first meeting. I'm sure I can pull out my notes from
Wow.
that very first meeting.
You probably can, yes.
Impressive.
Well, anyway, for another time.
Okay, we'll call on you next month.
Okay.
Comments by commission members and items for the next agenda, if you have anything special you want to add.
I do. The sand and gravel operation on Riverside Drive, when they were up there doing their graveling, they violated several of the state statutes and the town's codes. Now they're all done. They've left trash up there that should not have ever gone up there, a dumpster full of tires and some looks like parts of the sidewalk like what we just had installed. But why? Why was it brought up there? There's some issue that I think is accidental, and it may have come from the fact that we recently completely revised our zoning ordinances and we completely updated the Wetlands Commission's requirements. And I think something got overlooked in the area where a bond is returned to somebody who's gone in there and done some work like that, because he never should have been able to do what he did. He never should have been able to abandon it. He claimed bankruptcy. Now there's another party that's interested in it. And Passay Road has a sealed over area that's a brownfield site because of some illegal dumping. This town is wide open for that kind of abuse, and the people who just say no don't understand it. I think that this commission, because of our connection with planning and zoning, needs to say, we're going to study this. We're going to make sure if there was an oversight, we will correct it. If the information is there and it's not being followed, I think this commission has a responsibility to the town to say, we need to fix this before we ruin any opportunity for economic development. That's the biggest one. I have a suggestion that we ask our agriculture commission. A few weeks ago, I was on Chase Road, And I was talking with Laura Reynolds, and she said, "Oh, we don't use the greenhouses anymore since her brother died." And I looked and I saw a tractor that was kind of covered up with weeds. And it occurred to me that we have a lot of potential inventory in this town. Maybe I read too many post-apocalyptic books, but what I see happening in Washington and tariffs and all this crazy stuff, it might be a really good idea if we could say, hey, there's 2 tractors over on that road that aren't being used, and we can grow food. We're in a good location. I don't know. It wouldn't take too long to inventory it, and it might be very valuable. Just a suggestion. And the
I
last
think you
point,
read too many post-apocalyptic
I
books.
do, but you know what? It's always that crazy little thing that happens.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna get
There
into
is no
tractors
crosswalk.
tonight.
There is no crosswalk at 193 at the airline trail, and I saw a family, including 3 children under the age of 12, pushing their bicycles across there. And I know we talked about it. I believe we talked about it here, but I know we talked about it at the Trails Committee. I think economic development should rattle the state's cage and say, put up a sign, put up a crossing. I just want to be on record for saying those things. Those are issues that I think are important to our success, and they've been overlooked. Thank you.
Thanks, Charlie.
Anybody else?
Charlie, if I may, real quick, I was the actual, that was the property that attracted me to Thompson. I was the one that had the original offer on that 659 Riverside, the rock quarry. So what happened, just to bring everybody up to speed in 30 seconds here. The guy that had the property, he stripped all of the soil off the site, everything that was possibly usable for development. He stripped it down basically to either ledge or water. Once he did that, he sold it all during, the COVID time and all that stuff. And then he allowed dumping afterwards, was probably charging for it. That's what I think anyway. So I was actually on the site the other day. It needs somebody to be super creative. It's going to require a reclamation of soil. So basically you got to bring in soil to bring the soil back from somewhere, probably buy it. Because no one's ever going to return it because it's in probably, hundreds of yards all over the state.
Colorado.
Yeah, so that's it, and it is something I am still in communication with the broker on it to try to come up with something creative, maybe a portioned reclamation of soil, maybe do like, 8 or 10 condos, bring in some soil, and then do it a little bit at a time. But well, again, you have the man-made wetlands too, which is a big challenge as well.
That's
So
when he broke the law. He
yeah.
exposed the groundwater and was continued to work in a now manufactured but a legitimate wetlands.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Pretty clear water. It's nice looking as long as he didn't put some chemicals up there.
Yeah, I don't know what he did there.
A nice location too.
Yeah, it is. But that's something that's still, I mean, that's a big undertaking, but that's something that if somebody doesn't get creative, that nothing's ever going to happen up there.
Hmm.
So,
And that's my point. That's my point. We don't have the resources. I've said it. I've gone out to referendum hearings. We don't have the resources to really hire and to attract and retain the kind of talent that an area like this needs to make sure that we don't get ourselves over a barrel that we'll never get off of. And it only takes a month. It only takes a week. It only takes one person. An opportunistic.
Yep.
There's got to be something in the, if I don't think we miss anything in the code. I helped to review the early drafts and I didn't see, I don't know what the final drafts had though. I wasn't reading them all by the time it came through. I don't know, but it was in the early ones.
Well, still, a lot of it was during COVID and nobody was watching, probably.
Yeah, you're correct. You're correct.
Yeah.
Adjourn.
So next meeting, Joe, you trying to say something?
She's trying to
I
adjourn,
think
but go ahead and
I
say the
said
next meeting so
adjourn.
she can do it.
Yeah.
Let's go. And I'll second.
Oh. Well, yeah, the next meeting, September 17th. Remember, business of the year will be the big deal because Community Day will be right after. So, okay, we can adjourn it at 8:14.
Good night, folks. See you next time.
Good
Have a
night, thank
lovely
you.
Everybody have a
evening,
great
guys.
night.
Todd, I'll
Thank
talk to you
you.
tomorrow.
Will do. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Take care.
Good night. Good night.